Good morning, everyone. Welcome on the Knowledge and Power podcast. Today with you is me, Kat, 안녕하세요. Then we have Baruch.
Hello.
And we have Kolaj.
Good morning.
That was that person that was sipping his coffee or tea or whatever that was.
It's a coffee, it's too early in the morning.
Yeah, we always do these early mornings. So those of us who watch us on YouTube, you can see that our eyes are still sleeping. So we're just trying to wake up. Yeah, exactly. And we picked an interesting topic today for you guys. And the topic is called Toxicity at Workplace.
Ooh, sounds poisonous.
And tiring already. You just say that word and I'm like, I'm tired. Okay. Can we switch off now? Bye. So guys, do you have any experience, your personal experience, that you had maybe a team member, a colleague that was toxic? And what does it even mean, toxic? And you are willing to share the story.
I'm thinking.
What are you thinking about?
To the bottom.
Mayday.
Well, for me, I was that toxicity is something unhealthy. It's an unhealthy environment, I would say, in which I can't strive and work properly. So those are like extra signs when, for example, there is a stifled growth, like, okay, we can't grow as a personalities. And probably it has something to do with that so-called work-life balance. Like, okay, you're forced to do a lot of work instead of having also some free time there. And at the end, you feel some sort of burnout, or that you want to change the place because you feel that it's not healthy for you. It's demotivating you, and you don't see any reason why to stay. Whether it's not even worth the money to stay, I would say.
I'm gonna close it up. Not close it up. I'm gonna
already
zoom it in. That's the word I was looking for. Zoom it in. Those of you who live in Slovakia or ever visited Slovakia, and the best place to actually see a toxic person or a person not on the right position is actually a clerk in a grocery store. So whenever you go to any grocery store and you come close to the clerk when you are putting all your groceries, what is it? The thing. Not in a bag.
Conveyor belt.
Yes, thank you. Conveyor belt. And then the clerk goes like, what is this? Why? And you just go, why is this person even in here when they hate the job and they serve customers with that absolute hatred? And years back, maybe Baruch, you remember when we were near that shopping mall and there was this huge grocery store and there was this elderly gentleman who was actually retired, but he did that job because he was missing people. And he had the longest queue. And there were other clerks like ready to serve the customers, but no one was willing to go there. We all wanted to go to this elderly gentleman because he was always smiling at you. He always shared few sentences with you. And as we worked there, every day and he worked there, he started to even remember us, like which one of us is who and so on. And there was always the longest queue, and we were willing to wait the queue just so we could speak to him. And that was just the proof that if you like your job, you get lots of rewards, either in a communication, you meet nice people, right? But guys, please, if you hate your job, change the job, because not only you're hurting yourself, you're hurting people around you. And really the best place to practice it is to go to grocery store. And
or
you get
public
it
offices.
firsthand. Oh, yes. Come to any yeah. Depends which public office you go to. College is very
Any
like
other
deep
advice for
thought.
a toxic environment?
No, okay. I'll tell you another story, and it happened in this current job where I'm at. This is I would say that's the problem of the open offices, that when you sit in an open office, which didn't happen last year, me extroverted person who is missing it a lot, it has one disadvantage, and the disadvantage is that you are constantly on stage and many people observe you because they can hear you, and this is something that people tend to forget. And in an open space, it doesn't mean that there is one team. There are teams, total different teams sitting just in one open space. And I had an opportunity, and I went to one manager and I said, "Hey, listen, I have this opportunity. Do you have anyone in your team who would like to, practice that opportunity?" And she pointed me to one girl, and I said, "Hell no." I'm like, no, 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 no. That girl was very negative, always complaining, always nagging. And I said to that manager, "Look, I don't have time to start convincing someone why this opportunity is good, what it would bring towards the employee. And I don't have time literally to start spending and developing the girl on behavioral changes, blah, blah." And then I showed on another girl and I said, "I want her." And she was like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because she's firstly positive. She's willing to open to any new opportunities. And I know into whom I'm going to invest, into someone who wants to grow. And not that I need to convince you that you want to grow. I want her." And that's how that girl actually got the opportunity and the other one didn't. So until you really change your behavior, that's how easily you're losing many opportunities. Not always every opportunity bring you either bonus or salary raise or brand new position, but this opportunity bring you the skills that later you can apply for job rotation, bonuses, etc., etc. So guys, think about it, and don't do work where you are tired and you just don't want to collaborate, and especially if there are new changes, and we humans don't like changes. So usually when there is any kind of a change, our behavior is like, no. And especially we then tend to build that no towards the rest of the team around us, and we influence them negatively, and then the whole team is saying no. But actually that change could bring us something brand new, something much better, right?
And
Which you never know.
how do you discover which change is good and which change is bad? Because sometimes it happens that yes, somebody comes up with a brand new logo or brand new slogan or brand new process, and you're like,
No.
this was here before, it didn't work. Like, what are you trying to do here, man? Like, nah. So how do you know that the change you are trying to fight is bad or good?
I think to me, it's usually if you involve people in making change, it's much easier to get the buy-in, right? So yeah, I think they should be involved and they should contribute to the change. That's one of the things that could help.
So
that's one thing, and sometimes it's also about, even if that thing was here, but let's say 1 year passes by, let's try it again, because many things changed in the meantime, either technologies or people, and you can try it again whether it would work. But like you said, you need to involve people there because they are the subject matter expert, and it's good if you ask them about the change rather than you are making that change from a green table. And sometimes you just need to go with the flow. Okay, company wants change, so either I go with it or I go against it, but then it will
So
do me
again,
no good.
Okay, so you involve people, but then how do people know still, like, how do they know that it's a good change? How, when somebody came to you with a proposal, whether with the team, within the team or some manager, like, let's do this change, how did you know that this is worthy?
Personally, I would look at what's our goal or what's our mission. So I would go according to that, but I don't think everybody works like me. I think sometimes people just go off their natural feelings. As Kat said, like, many people don't like change and they will resist any change, no matter how good it is.
I'd say the way we do it in my team, we always discuss it. So when manager brings it on, like, this is something we need to now apply, we always discuss first we discuss the why. Like, why are we doing this? So we understand the background and what do we want to achieve? And then, like Baruch said, does it meet our mission and vision? Does it go, and what it is at the end on the long term basis? And then we actually review the change in 3 months time, whether we've made it good progress or not a good progress. And then we are able to revoke it. Like, we have that power to revoke it back. Like, no, that didn't help or that didn't work. But thankfully, in my team, because we are mostly seniors, or everyone is senior, we really have an open communication, and we rather focus on things that we do want to change. So if we have lots of administration work, we open a discussion. Is it possible to automatize something that it would help us to faster it? And so we really do focus on changes that actually helps us to be either faster in certain areas, or that we wouldn't even have to deal with it because the tools will do it for us. And that way we can then focus on the communication and PR, etc. So that's how we are focusing on changes.
And this is how we are focusing from toxicity to change management.
Yes.
Well, if you have toxic people, you need a change, right? But what are the possible actions that you can do?
Change. You don't necessarily
No, you need a change.
Not really.
What, you fire the person? Is that what you mean?
Well, any change.
Change.
Any change. Like, you need some change.
Correct. It was the same for me when my leader told me, like, okay, if you want to perceive in leadership, you need to start working on your emotion. Otherwise, you can have them, but they will do you lots of harm. And I want to teach you how you are capable to work on your emotions, so they wouldn't make you further harm either on your brain or on your communication with people. Are you willing to do that? And he never used my emotions against me, but he wanted to show me the right path, that if I do want to be a leader, what do I need to apply? And then that decision was up to me. Do I want it or do I?
Now that you mentioned this, do you think you were perceived as a toxic person at that time?
Oh, very. I had people, and I remember I became their team leader, and they were so scared, like, no, we don't want her. And we went on cottage together, and once you start drinking, then the thoughts, it opens up the conversation. It just goes in the flow. And they shared with me that they hated me so much, and they just wanted to avoid me screaming or shouting at them. Actually, when they needed to speak with their PMs, they literally went the other way of the entire floor just so they wouldn't cross my path. And I was like, oh my God, I was that bad. Like, no. And that's where my change started, that you become the team leader and you knew that's not the image you are even allowed to have, because as a team leader, the job role of a team leader is you need to be there for your team Your job
Yeah.
role is to take care of the team, and it's not about liking or hating you. That's your job role. You need to support every single team member, no matter what, no matter what assumptions they have towards you as a person. And you need, if those people were scared of me or hated me, I needed to change that mindset of them, because my job role was to be there for them.
So that was very counterproductive for you.
I know.
to be that way.
And the longest it took me for the last person to, let's say, convinced that he understands that it has nothing to do with me as a person, but really as my job role. It took 11 months. That was the longest. And at that time, I had 38 people and other like to take care of. And one person, so out of the 38, the toughest person, that took me 11 months to convince and that I'm there for him. And then there was one more, I never convinced him, like, ever.
Actually, that's pretty fast.
11 months? I think that was too long.
Yeah, I mean,
that's almost
yes,
a year.
Yes, but like as you said, like some people never change their view. So
that one person I didn't change.
What would you do if you had a toxic person in your team? What would be the actions that you could do?
So first I would start exactly the same. The leader, my leader, your leader, college leader. What, me? No. Applied on me, because I really appreciated that he saw something in me that I'm capable of. I just didn't know about it. And he gave me the chance.
But what if you had in your team a toxic person? If you were not the toxic person, but you had one.
So that's what I'm saying. That
okay.
Because he applied that on me, and I liked it, that someone gave me a chance. I would that would be my first approach as well towards that person. That I would sit with the person, and I would highlight the skills they have and why they are appreciated, and I would show them the set of what they need to start working on if they want to get more out of it, either more collaboration, maybe better job, maybe and highlight, and whether they want to start working on it. And if yes, I would either try to find them a good mentor that is really good targeting those specific areas, or I would give them project or something that they can start practicing, and then I would then work with them on that. Or if they say no, I'm not willing to do anything about it, I would still give them, okay, if you are not willing, these might be the consequences that will happen. And I would literally be very honest with them. And those consequences can lead to, let's say, even you leaving the company, because it's just not healthy that one person changes the environment and the behavior of other people, because that's not what I want in my team. Just to be very honest and highlighted the consequences very clearly.
What if you were a peer? How would that change your actions? Or even a manager? What if the manager was the toxic person or some kind of leader?
I did that. Do you remember? Okay. So, okay. So I was only 4 years in the company, and we had a manager who frustrated 17 people.
Oh gosh.
And our awesome leader, that I am like an open book with my emotions, he said me and he said, "What's wrong, Katarina?" Nothing. you know what women say? I'm fine. For the guys, they say, "Oh, she's fine. She said she's okay." For the girls, like, "Oh no, you haven't heard the tone. She says I'm fine." And he said, "No, I can see something is wrong." And I just said, "Okay, I'm gonna say it, but are you gonna fire me?" And he was like, "Why would I fire you?" I said, "Because I'm gonna complain on a manager." And he said, "No, just tell me what's going on." And Here I was very careful because I know that if I start fighting for the team, they might not stand up for that. So all I said for the team was like, I just don't get how the company allows one manager to frustrate 17 people. And then I literally focus only on me, what was happening, the relationship that that person was doing to me. And then our leader just said, okay, I can sit with that person, but am I allowed to use your name? Yes or no? I'm like, and again, I asked, are you going to fire me? And he said, no. I'm like, okay, then you can use my name. Not a problem. If I know that you stand behind me, then not a problem. And of course, it didn't help the relationship that I had with the manager, even in the future, etc. And as I said, I was only 4 years at that company. I was too young. Would I do something differently today? Yes.
How would you do
And
it?
I would literally talk to that person directly.
Uh-huh.
I would either go on coffee or lock ourselves in quiet room, and I would be openly sharing the way I feel, that the way this person is behaving towards me, what I don't like, why I don't like it, what kind of emotion the manager is bringing in me. And I would even ask that person, which I did ask, but I would ask if that's the way the person wants to continue, and then that I will start seeking for a new job. I would be very open about it because that's not the way I want to collaborate.
That's actually what I did for to one manager, that I thought he's not doing a job as he should. That I talked personally to that manager and said what I think should change or what shouldn't stay the same. But honestly, I don't think it helped. It was manager of my manager. So we are talking quite high level from my perspective. So yeah, but it's terrible because I could see that he's influencing all these other managers, and it was like I could see slowly some teams falling apart, managers getting frustrated and not actually focusing on things that they should have focused. So yeah, that's
another
it's a toughie.
reason. That's another reason that, guys, if you ever become a manager, you need to be strong, and it's not about the money. Oh my God, I want to be manager because I want to make money. The money are not worth it. All the emotional strokes that you go there on a manager position, but it's really, you need to understand. And one of my mentors said to me, being a manager means being a servant for your employees. That's what manager is about. And many times I saw something was coming from top to bottom. But people forget, or managers forget, you are responsible for the people. And if you see that whatever message is coming from top to bottom is silly, who said that you need to tell it to your employees? At the end, you, the manager, you are making that decision. You need to be able to say, I'm gonna, whatever, if I'm gonna stop it here, am I okay to take the consequences? I'll give you an example. I was that time when they said no more home offices. And I looked at them and I was like, what? And I said, that's not what I'm gonna communicate to my team. And I was willing to do that if there would be consequences, I'm gonna be willing to take it on my shoulders, because I saw it as the most stupidest decision ever. And we are not talking about a remote workplace that you constantly work from home office, but really once here and there when, I don't know, you need a courier to bring you something, or you needed to stay with your kid, or your dog is sick, whatever, you were saving money on travel. You actually concentrated way better working from home, especially if you're developer. So no one was like bugging you and you could really work and develop. For me, that made way more better reasons than telling the guys like, no. So what I did, I called my team and I said, I'm not going to touch it, but you cannot share this outside of this team
Mhm.
because I am forced, but I'm willing to take that consequences on my shoulders because I'm your manager. You need to keep it to yourself. Are you willing to do that? And everyone said yes. Okay, I'll fight for you, and if you fight for me. And I was transparent in my decision makings, just so the team knows as well, right? Because it could only stand if we stand together at that moment. So those decisions, and every manager has that possibility to make it. It's just that it's easier if it comes from top to bottom, that they just go top to bottom without questioning, wait a second, doesn't make sense. Why? And going and start pushing back.
Wouldn't it be better to give feedback back to the top? Like, hey guys.
Oh,
Hey, are you sure?
I start fighting. Of course, I start, and I start like, it makes no sense. And I start like, guys, back in 2008, we started to teach all the Slovaks what does it mean home office, and we start slowly approaching it. Suddenly, after years, more than 10 years, when people are so used to it, they are saving money, etc. You want to take that away? Makes no sense. And then what happened? COVID happened. Everyone had to go work from home. Ta-da!
And it works. I'm sorry. Look at that.
And look at that. It works. So all I'm saying, idiots. So I'm sorry. I'm going to say it out loud. Idiots. Just because people stop thinking. That's ridiculous. But exactly, that's something that everyone should realize. If you are part of the team, and it doesn't matter whether you're a team leader, manager, or just a member of the team, every team member influences the rest of the team with your behavior. And I just realized even yesterday evening we had a call, and my colleague was presenting something to me, and I was very harsh. I literally, when whatever he shared, I was like, no, that makes no sense. And that was my communication. That way makes no sense. This is silly. What does it mean? And I start questioning it. But because it was my evening and I was so tired, now I'm giving excuses, but I realized that's not a proper behavior. He's my colleague. He was responsible for something. I should behave and communicate differently. So today, my job is to get back to him and apologize, as well as try to come up with a better approach that I need to explain them sorry for that and sorry for my behavior, too tired. It will not repeat. Because I appreciate the relationships we have in our team, and I don't want that to be harmed just because of the way I behaved. Even though it was not making me sense, but I could communicate it differently.
Right.
That's what makes you mature.
In here, I feel responsible to say that if you have this emotional change, or that you suddenly communicate differently, and then later on you came and apologize, I wouldn't necessarily call it the toxic environment, because it's like one-time stand-up. For me, toxic environment means that it's a long-term process which leads into, I don't know, whatever, the high turnaround and actually people being sick, like physically sick. So this is like, you felt tired. That's it. Like, you can feel tired from time to time. You can allow yourself to be tired and not to be optimal all the time. It's just that you recognize it later on, or anybody else can recognize it later on and do something with it, or not to behave or apologize or whatsoever. So just being tired doesn't mean that you are toxic and that you should leave the workspace. These guys don't do that, okay? That could be that just you're just having a bad day, or you've ate something bad, So don't go and don't sign out your contract just yet. Just wait a bit, okay? See if there are other
It just shows the maturity level, that also how much I grow, that I'm able to recognize it, that I behave this way, and these are the steps I need to now take because I don't want to harm the relationship. So would I be able to do that 15 years ago? No.
Yeah, and it's also
I
opportunity
didn't have
for
the knowledge.
it's also the opportunity for the others, for the whole team to say like,
Mm.
oh, I don't like this because we had the social contract, we signed that we are not going to behave this way, and you've done that, so I held you responsible for your behavior. You need to hold yourself responsible for that.
Did you had in team one person, very toxic person?
There was one person that I actually, if I didn't have to, really have to, I tried to avoid. And which was a pity because she was quite knowledgeable and expert in her field. Uh,
That was in China or in Slovakia?
that was in China.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I know who she's talking about.
I
You
don't. I
don't.
don't.
I don't.
I don't
Then
know.
okay, then it's not the person I thought.
Sorry.
No worries.
So honestly, like it was difficult because anytime I tried to talk to her, she would be very defensive and
Oh.
she wouldn't see the not the mistake, but the way she is influencing others.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like a wall, and you couldn't get through it. But slowly, after some time, I think she got more feedback like mine from other people. So I think she slowly started to accept it and change it. It's like that Sarah model, right? When you give feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So she was in denial for a very long time. So I think sometimes it takes more people to change, to have that positive change when you have a toxic person in your team.
From my perspective, so far, I found probably teams or observed teams and heard about teams which are toxic. But at the same time, I can really empathize with those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like they may be, or I've met people who had traumas from childhood or whatsoever, and I'm still meeting people like that. So, and that results in a behavior which are totally unnatural to me, or I've met personalities which are complete opposite to me, and those are from time to time I meet my personal nemesis. Like, okay, this is something I would never do, and I despite it because that's totally unacceptable for me. But they can strive with those skills, with those personalities somewhere in the environment. So for me, the toxicity is something about values.
Mm-hmm.
It's connected to values a bit, like, okay, how much I appreciate myself and the collective, the community I'm in, and if we sit there together and we can work together, because I can carry over the personal traumas. I've met people with like who are really some sort of depressive, even like really close people to me, and I can work it out somehow because we have some common values on which we can build and align ourselves, and based on that, move forward and do something together. So, uh, being in a toxic environment, I don't know if I have ever been in such highly toxic environment that I couldn't build something together.
Mm-hmm. Me neither. There was usually just like one person, but you could either ignore that person or do something, but not that it would influence the whole thing. Actually, Baruch, remember when we were sitting with the guys like Dushko, Tomasz, and the rest, and that was the bunch of most funniest, positive people. I was literally that 6 months we were sitting there. That was my happiest 6 months I've ever encountered in the company. I was literally looking forward to come to the office because the things that these guys were doing, I laughed so much. And there was this one guy, he was always negative, but these guys always put him sort of like either they stopped him or put him down or they turn it into joke. They never let it to influence anyone. and they were hilarious. I really laughed. It was just amazing. I missed those times. These were the best times ever. And I remember once we were laughing so hard, and of course my laughter is like, when I'm on home office, people start complaining that I can hear you. And a girl came and started shouting at me, just shut up, you just scream so much. And then she left. I was like, oh my God, what did I do? And then all the rest of the guys came and like, Kat, we are so sorry. We made you laugh so loud that she came, and actually you were the one taking all the heat instead of them. So they were so sweet. But oh my God, those were the best times ever. And it was always like, they were making jokes like, there was this Dushki, and he was a very positive guy, funniest ever. Sometimes he just started laughing 2 weeks later on a joke that was said 2 weeks earlier, and you are just like, what? And he received a certificate or something, and a guy in front of him who was sitting in front of me was a very hardworking guy and wanted to be appreciated, and he didn't receive anything. And then he started like showing him the certificate, crossing like
Easy.
easy, and he was like, what the hell? Christmas, he took a picture of himself and the certificate, took a selfie and sent it to him like, we wish you, me and my certificate, we wish you Merry Christmas. I'm like, what the hell? And this type of like, where do you even come up with these things? And thankfully the guys took it as a joke, of course, but I'm like, seriously? And I was just constantly laughing in the office because of these awesome people. And it's those were my best 6 months ever.
Do you think actually it would be sustainable to fight toxicity with jokes on a long-term basis?
I don't know.
I mean, I think it's great if people have it in them, like they make joke almost out of everything. But like, if you are not a funny person by nature,
Humor is a great stress reliever. It's a great stress reliever. Okay, I'm not gonna say that.
reliever.
Guys, it's too early in the morning.
Yeah, and it can help. It depends how much toxicity is the environment. I think that you still need some healthy ratio there, because as it sounds from Kat's experience, there was more positively vibed people than the negative ones or the neutral ones. But as soon as you get more neutral and the negative ones, then no matter how much humor you have, it's not gonna work well. And suddenly you realize that you're making jokes which are cynical or ironical, and that's not healthy. That already is shown, or is a sign that okay, the environment might be not really that properly set up.
And it reminds me when they changed where we were sitting, and then I was telling Baruch, and they moved us in a place where no one was speaking to me. Remember that, Baruch? No one was speaking to me. And I was like, Baruch, no one speaks to me here. I feel horrible. I didn't want it to go to work. Like, why? What for? And then what happened? Years later, I became manager of those people. Revenge. No, guys. No, I didn't need any revenge.
Kat, what do you want to do first thing for your team when you become a manager?
But I spoke with two of the guys. I'm like, remember when I was sitting there and you guys didn't even spoke to me and you literally gave me the silent treatment? Can I know the reason why? What did I do to you? Because I felt the worst. I didn't want to come to work, didn't want to sit there. I would do anything just to be anywhere else, just there. And they looked at me like, oh my God, I had no idea that's how you feel. That's what we are doing to you. I'm so sorry. I'm just like, don't need to apologize, but I just want to know, what did I do? So I could, prevent it in the future. And they said, you didn't do anything, but there was one person who didn't like you and she influenced us. I'm like, well, thank you very much. So, but being their manager, the way I behaved, the way I took care of them, they found out that I'm not a bad person and I'm a caring person, and I changed their mindset about me. I could be revenges. I could be.
Actually, it
That
sounds
wasn't.
like a great topic for the next podcast, and it's influencers.
Mhm.
Oh, either positive or negative.
Yeah.
That's a good
Ooh.
topic. Yeah.
And guys, that's the way we're gonna end this one. So thank you for listening or watching on YouTube. Leave us a comment, or if you want a topic that we want that you want to hear us rumble about, and share it with us. Thank you very much. Annyeong.
Bye bye.
Bye. Have a nice day. Just so you know, this podcast represents our own opinions, experience, and our own ideas. We do not represent any official statement from our employers, and this is not their official channel representing the company.